Hello and welcome to Sass Bites. This is your weekly bite of Sass during your lunch break. I'm your host, Mike Godbolt, and we're continuing on the road to SassConf. This is a series of episodes we're doing where we get a chance to highlight some of the speakers and hopefully some of the organizers for the upcoming Sass conference. SassConf is going to be November 11th through 14th in Austin, Texas, and you can pick up your tickets right now. I believe it's $500 for a ticket. And there's also some workshops. I don't know if the price has been announced for those yet. But certainly pick up those tickets. There's going to be an amazing number of incredible speakers. And today we actually get a chance to highlight a couple of those speakers. One of them is Ali Palanzi.
Yep.
I'm kind of guessing on that one. Ali is a senior front-end engineer at Vox Media. She's a developer, designer, and teacher out in the Washington, D.C. area. She also co-organizes the Sassy DC meetup. So if you're in the D.C. area and you want to go to a good meetup or maybe speak at a meetup, definitely hit her up sometime. I know she'd probably love to have some more people pop in there and talk. So awesome to have her. Next to her, we have Tab Atkins. If you don't know Tab, you need to follow Tab because Tab is pretty amazing. Tab works for Google on the Chrome browser as a web standards hacker, which is always a great title to have. He's also a member of the CSS working group and is either a member or contributor to several other working groups in the W3C. He does tons of stuff when it comes to features that are coming down the pipeline for you to work on. He might have written the entire feature himself. I know, Tab, you just finished up writing a feature for like a mix-in/extend kind of thing for CSS. Is that right?
Yes, simple mix-ins sitting on top of the existing custom property thing that CSS variables uses.
And that is something that we could possibly see in a couple of years. So he is the man that is heading that up. He is constantly looking for feedback. Great person to follow on Twitter, as well as Ali. I love watching both of you just kind of as the stuff you do and the craziness you get into. So we definitely enjoyed having both of you on the show today. So, Ali, I want to start off with you real quick and talk to you. I know we met a couple years back in D.C., one of my first trips to D.C. Got a chance to sit down and eat Thai food and chew the fat, as it were. So talk to me about Sass and how you got into it. What is your Sass story?
So when I was still pretty new to front-end development, I went to a meetup in DC where someone from Vigit was speaking, and he gave a presentation about Sass, and I pretty much thought it was magic, and I had to try it immediately. So I think I went home that night and kind of learned it, and yeah, so from then I just started using it in all my projects. We use it at Vox Media. I went to the first SassConf and kind of fell in love with the community. It's super welcoming and awesome. So I've just been using it for 3-4 years now.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's a lot of us. You see one presentation or something, and that's pretty much all it takes. You get pretty quickly. So outside of your work at Vox, what are the things you're involved in? I know you're involved in Sassy DC. Are there other things in DC that are important to you, either activities or other organizations?
Yeah, so I do teach a little bit for General Assembly. I've taught visual design there, and will probably be teaching front-end in the future. I also organize a bunch of events with DC Femtech and a lot of other various meetups and teaching type things around DC. Now, so mostly code out of work.
Okay. Oh, nice. What was the Femtech one called?
DC Femtech.
DC Femtech. That's pretty self-explanatory. General Assembly to me always sounds like it's a bunch of senators getting together. So can you tell me what General Assembly is and how people can get involved and how it helps them out?
So General Assembly provides boot camp type classes. They do full-time web dev immersive courses and UX courses, and then also some part-time ones, which were the ones that I would teach in. It's not volunteer or anything. People pay to take the classes, you get paid to teach the classes, but it's a lot of fun.
Cool. Nice. Yeah, every single time I'm you're doing, wait, what? Getting on the political track or something?
No.
So you're going to be talking at SassConf this year. You're going to be talking about don't speak in code, clear and kind communication skills. I'm sure you've got some amazing stories that have led up to this, but what was the kind of the inspiration for this talk, and what should people expect?
So it's actually going to be a discussion at SassConf. So basically, I just kind of think that everyone could use to be a little bit more empathetic and friendly in this community. I think there's like a lot of barriers to entry, even like joining new teams and stuff. Oftentimes, it's kind of tough to like feel comfortable communicating and like submitting pull requests or talking about features and things like that. And I just want to kind of open that discussion and see what kind of things people are doing at their companies to kind of facilitate open communication and things like that.
Do you have any good stories from Vox about some of the things that you are doing there for helping communication?
So I think one of the main things is just that we have a pretty strict like pull request guideline thing that we do. You have to like pretty much very explicitly write out your pull requests and things like that, and then people here are pretty nice in the comments. I think it's GitHub who actually has really good guidelines for responding to pull requests. I can't remember what the link is right now, but it talks about like how you shouldn't tell people ways to do it. You should ask more like questions, and instead of
your code is dumb, do it all.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also like kind of don't be negative about yourself too. I mean, I write in my code comments all the time like this is the dumbest thing in the world, when reality it's probably not. It's actually like the way to do it. So yeah, I think that we all just should be nicer and kinder and to ourselves and everyone else.
Great. That should be a really fun conversation. It's going to be pretty much the entire room speaking. Is that how you're doing these talks?
Yeah, I think so. It's not really super planned yet, but yeah, it's going to be like everybody in the room gets to contribute to the conversation.
Very cool. So if you've got background in that, if you've got interest in that, and you've got things that you want to say, hopefully kindly and clearly.
Or things you want to learn.
Yes, or things to learn. That sounds like a great session to sit in on. So great. So let's jump over to Tab real quick. And Tab, same question to you, sir. Is how did you get into Sass? I mean, I think I've heard a bit of your backstory in general, but how did you come to the Sass community or get involved in it?
So I've never actually written any Sass to this day. I've not done any of it. That said, I became, through my work in the CSS working group and just general evangelizing, going to conferences and whatnot, I became friends with Chris Epstein. And he was like, hey, I have interesting things to talk to you about. Maybe we can get them into CSS. And we just became friends. We chatted a bunch about things. I've tried to introduce a few sassy things into CSS. Variables being the first one where we're able to do something a little bit different than what Sass did, but in the same spirit that takes advantage of CSS in the browser in a little bit better way. I tried to get extend in. The working group accepted it, but it's not really like, people aren't super excited about implementing it right now. But mix-ins should be a much easier sell because it's much lower implementation cost to get that sort of thing in. So yeah, and then last year I spoke at SassConf. I was keynoting and talking about the future of CSS, and that's a bit about what my lightning talk this year will be about. I'll be able to give a lot more detail than I was last year because we've actually been to the meetings. We've actually got specs written out in their first drafts and whatnot. And I'm going to give hopefully a quick run through of what you can expect to see starting to show up in the next year or two with some concrete examples of some simple stuff.
So you've been to the future is shiny, get excited.
Yeah, hopefully. The reason I'm so excited about talking to the Sass community about this is because so much of it is enabling the creativity and whatnot that shows up in all the Sass libraries and related stuff being applied to CSS itself, which is finally becoming extensible in a way that will allow just a big flowering of ideas that were never possible before.
So you think a lot of the ideas that have come in from preprocessors and people trying to push to CSS language has had a pretty profound effect on CSS?
Absolutely. It's been a hard slog. The CSS working group is almost entirely browser vendors. They are not web authors. And so they're, at best, they might have done some simple HTML and CSS on their homepage or something. But largely, they're C++ hackers. They don't know much about the struggles of the modern web author. And so I've been trying to drag the working group kicking and screaming into let's make CSS a little bit more easy to control and whatnot. And I've been having some effect. The latest thing, Houdini, is the big one, that when we're complete with all the Houdini efforts, CSS should be as customizable as possible. We're opening up as much of it as we possibly can to JavaScript-based customization, and that should make CSS able to survive for the next decade or so, because we can't keep up feature growth like we have. The language is already humongous. It can't continue to get bigger at the same rate. We have to move into users being able to grow the language on their own.
Exactly. The extensible portion is something that sounds quite exciting, getting our JavaScript hooks into that CSS and actually being able to do some things with it. So I'm sure there's way more technicalness to it than I'm even close to aware of, so I'm excited to see that come about. So as well, you are obviously quite busy with the work you do, the evangelizing you do. What else is it that you do outside your day job? What are some of the things that we don't know about Tab?
That is a good question. Let's see. My wife and I, our most common thing to do is hang on playing video games together. We've both been huge gamers since we were in high school and first met. And usually we just play some RPG and swap off. One player does one game and the other player handles the strategy guide, and then we'll do the opposite. That is our largest thing outside of occasional vacations where we like to go out in nature and whatnot.
It's always a good time. I like the passenger and driver or navigator, I guess probably the better word for that second person. It's a good tag teaming idea. Gets you through the games a little faster, and you get all the content, and it's good bonding experience. Nice.
Exactly.
So, and I think we already talked a little bit then about what your talk is going to be on, talking about the future of CSS, then, right? Is that going to be the main focus of what you're doing?
Yeah, so I'm only going to be doing a lightning talk. It'll be a 15-minute talk, and so it will be short and focused on a quick introduction to everything. I've never done a 15-minute talk before, so this is proving to be more difficult than I had anticipated to get together.
You're capable of keeping it that small.
That's the problem here, but I think I can do it without rushing or talking too fast, and I hope to be able to just show an example of everything that we're working on, or at least the exciting parts of it, and get people introduced to everything at least.
Very cool. Now, are some of these things we can actually use like soon, or what's the soonest we can use anything?
I'm not completely certain yet. Chrome, at least, is pursuing a fairly aggressive timeline for several of these features. Some of the easier ones to work in. In particular, custom painting, which will allow you to basically generate your own images in CSS, or for CSS to use. That one turns out to be surprisingly easy to work with. But other ones like custom layouts, doing layouts in CSS that actually respond to the page in an intelligent way, unlike today's JS-driven layout things. That'll be much more difficult. We're pursuing that as rapidly as we can, but that one's still several years down the line. On the other hand, other browsers, while they're all super interested in this, and they've been very active and participating in the entire process, which is thumbs up, I don't know how aggressive their timelines are going to be. With luck, it'll just be a matter of we get agreement on everything, we start shipping things experimentally, and then authors get real excited and start yelling about it and force everybody else to catch up real quick. So I expect in the earliest things to start showing up in Chrome sometime next year for some of the easier things. And with luck, everyone else will catch up with that as well.
Very nice. And we'll be kicking and screaming until that happens. It's like, come on! Well, awesome. Well, you'll both be down in Austin this coming November 11th through 14th. Have either of you been in Austin before? I know is Vox down in that area.
We have an office down there, but I've never been.
Oh, so get a chance to go see some coworkers.
Yeah.
Either of you have barbecue picks that you're already ready to go and eat?
Going to Franklin's.
Going to or have someone stand in line at 6 a.m. for you?
Yes. Yeah, I'm a native Houstonian, so I was born and raised down there for the first 23, 24 years of my life. And so I've been to Austin several times. And even since I've moved over to California, I've probably been to Austin more than I was back in Houston because people keep throwing conferences down there.
It's crazy how that happens. It's certainly the hotbed for things right now, especially in that area of the U.S. So looking forward to both of these. It's exciting to have this diversity, diving in nuts and bolts of CSS, talking about communication and compassion in the workplace. So excited to have you both there. It's fun to get a chance to talk with both of you, and I wish you the best of luck at the conference.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, thanks you too. We will be seeing you all around. Definitely follow. It's Tab Atkins on Twitter, right? And then
Yes.
My Life as Allie on Twitter for Allie.
With 4 L's.
With one bunch of L's in there. Just check out at Sass Bites. I've tweeted her handle out a couple times if you want to follow both of them as well. So thanks again for catching the show. Next week we will have a couple more people on. So keep an eye out for that, and we will see you again next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.